What is up, everybody? Dak here, and we are back on the horn project. As you can see here, it is right here on the table. It's opened up as I had to get the driver out for my mate's sub. I ended up getting sick of not being able to give it more than 70 watts, so I got out that 3-rack unit thing right there. I bridged it and gave this thing 300 watts, and then it died. The sub I'm replacing it with will go into my mate's car. It's my birthday present for him. Yeah, usually it's got a lot more excursion than that. Oh dear. As for the exterior, I'm either going to add another maybe half-inch or a bit less thickness of this wood to the whole outside, or I might get the same thickness, which is 3/4 inch, and kind of cut 2 big windows out of it, so it's got kind of a frame going on, so it's stronger at the corners and right in the middle, and that's more or less for weight reduction. I'll also integrate a carry handle into it somewhere, just so it's easy to move, because that sub I'm getting has a triple stack 10-inch ferrite motor on it, which, if you don't know, weighs 30 kilos. So this thing's going to be heavy once it's all together. Also, I noticed that during testing, at least on 300 watts, which is what the 8-inch handled before it blew up, this bit right here, which I can't flex, was flexing about 5 whole mil, which is me actually putting my body weight into it, trying to do that equivalent. So yeah, it really needs to have some rigidity added to it. I could add some internal bracing, but I've really got my heart set on the white all-round fiberglass resin middle, and then maybe some wording down here like D'acoustics logo or something. I reckon that'd be really cool. That's a bit dusty. Looking pretty good as compared to the other side. So I'm back, and as you can see, I've now painted the whole interior of it. Paint looks pretty good. I've also resined this side here. This looks really good. I haven't yet resined this side here, but I wanted to do a quick bit of recording just before I do resin it, just as a bit of a comparison. Now, I suppose I could have done one side, except I used the same brush for the resining and the paint, so of course I had to do the painting first, the whole thing, before I could do the resining, otherwise the brush would be ruined. But yeah, as you can see, it certainly looks, comparing it to, you could probably imagine if the whole thing's plywood there, but comparing that to this side just looks so much better. Something else too is I'm going to see this raw plywood around the edge here. I'm going to spray paint it black, but I'm going to do that after the next bit of fiberglass finish setting, just so I can apply the tape more liberally without having to avoid the fiberglass surfaces which might get some paint on them. Yeah, unfortunately when I peeled back the tape, it kind of tore the paint off with it, so that's a nuisance. Inside's looking good. As you can see, it's now had its layer of about 300 milliliters per side of fiberglass resin, and also the whole inside's been painted white other than that, although it's still got a bit of a, and I'll turn it up now, this seems to resonate at about 90 hertz. So yeah, that's a bit of a problem which I've got to take care of. It seems to move up to a few mil and just make it clear. I can't hit it hard enough to move it like even 1 or 2 mil. So got a bit of a plan for bracing, which is this stuff right here, which is 30 millimeter plywood. It's 13 layer, I think, or 11, you count it if you want. And what I'm going to be doing with this stuff is cutting out strips and at a 45, and essentially making a frame for the side of the box. So there's going to be stripes down it, 4 and all along the top and bottom, and that's going to be bracing to help this from moving, and also the middle likes to move a bit too, at a different frequency though. But yeah, this thing really goes nuts. Something else kind of funny is if just by holding this, it's way louder. It's way louder just by holding this. You can see I've got a bit of bracing right here. This side produced probably 90% of the sound that you just heard. This vibrating out of phase with the audio tone cancellation. So this must have a hole at about 90 hertz, which is really hard to detect. Well, it's not very noticeable. So we'll fix that up, then it should have a lot more output in around the 100 hertz region, which is important because this sub I want to do from about 40 to 200 hertz. So if there's a hole right in the middle, that's a bit of a problem. Yeah, this wood should work just fine to brace it all. Also, I've decided the stuff I'm going to be coating the box in is this stuff right here. It's a letter, and what it is it's essentially concrete kind of paint stuff. It's super hard wearing, and it has a bit of a wrinkle finish to it. So I'm going to be painting this on. It's black, probably a few coats, 3 or 4. It says here that it does 12 to 14 square meters. This box is not nearly 12 to 14 square meters. It's probably about, it's maybe 3. So I'll be able to comfortably get 4 coats out of it, 4 thick coats. And then it'll look pretty good. So this is what I'm going to be tackling in the next video, or summarizing in the next video. Something else I've done is, can't remember if I've mentioned the new driver in there yet, but of course it's in there. Sounds way better than the old one. Yeah, it actually sounds better too than the JCar sub. It's not just louder, so that's always nice to hear. And this amp right here, which I run it off, had a bit of a problem with it, a bit of a loose wire. Fixed that. Now it gets loud way more reliably. Just something that small just sounds louder now. Yeah, it's funny. I think it's because when it got to a critical loudness before, the vibration managed to lose contact from the wire enough that the clip lights thought the signal was clipping. Remember, it just detects a square wave more than or a kind of squaring to the wave rather than a certain voltage point, so it could have been clipping early as far as it was detecting. And something else I've done, you can probably hear it right now, and it is reasonably loud, but it's a lot quieter than it used to be. That fan, I reversed the direction of it, so now it intakes from the front like it actually should intake from. And yeah, it's way quieter. I also put a small shroud in there just to focus the airflow from the front down onto the heatsink. Yeah, other than that, anything below 100 hertz, because that acts rigid, like when I was tapping on it, because it acts rigid, sounds fine. In fact, it sounds really good. Gets down to very solid. There's a note which is at 38.9 hertz, and this produces it just fine. I think it maybe is at the very top of the roll-off, as it's not quite as loud as 41 point something, which is the next frequency up. Might even, I'm not sure what the next one is specifically, but yeah, the next note below that 39 hertz is attenuated quite a bit, is noticeably attenuated, and this sub pretty well taps out by the time it gets to 33 hertz. So very sharp roll off, but very loud above that. But yeah, look forward to, the box is almost finished, just needs reinforcement, and it's outside weatherproof coating. So if you want to see that, subscribe, and if you enjoy what you see, hit the like button. And if you've got any questions, leave them in the comments, and I'll probably answer them pretty quickly. Yeah, thanks for watching. See ya.